Welcome to Glazed Over, a podcast for contemporary ceramic studios. We're your host, Jessica Cowan.
And Amy Williams. You're invited to join us in creative conversation about life in the arts as entertainment space.
Hey, Jess. Hey, Amy. How's it going?
It's good. We've gotten to see each other a lot this week. We've recorded 3 episodes, and
yeah,
I gotta say, they've been bangers. Every single one, this episode included. We sat down
might be the best ones in the series.
Hey, that's true. We sat down with Erin and Steve Racioppi today. They are definitely legends in the industry. You know, they own a lot of studios. They go in and they've purchased a lot, and they've also just opened to kind of from scratch. So it's really nice to chat with them.
Yeah, it was. And, normally Erin and Steve talk about processes and training and systems, but today we got to talk to them about scouting new locations, what to look for, what is a hard no, and just kind of the ins and outs of not only building a location, but finding a location just in general so that you can get going and grow into your boots, so to speak.
Yeah. And, every time I sit down with Erin and Steve, I learn something new. And, some takeaways from this episode that I'm going to take with me aren't necessarily about, studio locations. Like, I loved hearing Steve's hard no for a location. And I will save that little nugget so you guys can listen for it. And hearing Erin talk about like what her favorite part of the studio is and these kind of happy accidents while building out spaces. But yeah, all in all, another banger, just like I said.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Everyone at home, enjoy. And, we look forward to hearing what you think. So we know we drop these in chatter every time they come out, and I love to hear feedback. So if you're enjoying the episode, please, tell us in chatter or rate and review and all that good stuff, because it does actually matter. When people say it on podcasts, it does matter.
Yeah. It's true. And you're allowed to talk to us and tell us what we could be doing better or what you want to see more of or who you want to hear from. And we'll do our best to get them on here.
Yes. But also be nice. I'm sensitive. All right.
Facts.
All right, everyone, enjoy the episode.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Hey podcasters, this is Lisa with Bisque Imports. Enjoy this podcast series from the CCSA, and for those of you who are looking to expand your knowledge on industry best practices, how to create some great samples, etc., don't forget to visit all the resources available on bisqueimports.com. Enjoy.
Are you ready to stay ahead of the curve in the fine arts industry? Look no further than CCSA Today, our quarterly magazine packed with business insights, industry trends, and operational tips tailored specifically for fine art studio owners like you. Whether you prefer the printed or digital version, each issue of CCSA Today is full of valuable content to help you run a more efficient, profitable, and creative studio. You'll find everything from the latest business strategies to inspiring seasonal designs that keep your customers coming back for more. Don't miss out on this must-have resource. Become a member of the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association and get CCSA Today delivered right to your mailbox or inbox. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.
We have Erin and Steve Racioppi here, and we are going to talk about how to find a successful studio space, because they have found many successful studio spaces, and even just opened the first kind of original store, right, from the ground up.
First and second.
Mm-hmm. First and second. Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Well,
awesome.
tell us
Congrats.
a little bit about who you are and how long you've been in business. And we just want to hear, the Racioppi pitch. Give it to us.
Sure. Well, okay. It starts with me. I painted at the Latest Glaze in Bloomington, Indiana in college and loved it. I loved that with Paint Your Own Pottery, I've always been crafty, but I haven't said like, oh, I'm an artist, but I could go in there and create something that I loved, and that would last a long time. So I had a business class, and the professor said, go talk to a business owner in town. So I talked to the owner of the Latest Glaze, and she told me actually about the CCSA like then. Oh. And yeah, pretty wild. So I wrote a business plan for my class to open a studio. And yeah, I ended up doing it. Like after just under a year after graduating, I opened my first studio, and it was just, just my little pottery shop. So it's kind of fun to see that, after that I met Steve, and then we together, I had opened a second store, but then together we've purchased 5 studios and now opened the 2 like of our own from scratch type thing. But yeah, pretty wild to say that. Yeah, my little pottery studio 23 years ago.
Wow. Where was that one?
22 years ago. The first one's in Wisconsin Dells. And my crazy idea was, because it's a really small town I grew up in, was to put the shop in Wisconsin Dells, which is a touristy town where there's a lot of visitors. So I thought, well, this is something, like literally I was waiting tables at the pizza place in town asking families, if there was a pottery studio here, would you guys paint pottery? Like, wouldn't that be a fun thing to do as a family on vacation? I'm like 22 years old, like, what do you think? And I had enough people, encouraging me to do it that I went for it and opened one inside one of the resorts. Actually, is where I landed. So
nice.
it started. Yeah,
that's crazy. And Steve, what's your background?
No, I was a lawyer in Atlanta, close to you, for 5 years, and I just kept watching Erin get grow, and I was like, I need to do what you're doing. It was just way more fun. And so I joined Erin in 2012, which is like, I guess 13 years ago now. And haven't looked back, haven't missed it at all. And it's been super fun to grow with her.
Yeah. What kind of law did you practice? I've never asked you that.
I was a securities lawyer. And so I was never in a courtroom. So securities lawyer is, when a big company like Coca-Cola is going to like sell stock, raise money, issue debt, something like that. They have to file a bunch of paperwork with the SEC to do that. And so I would work on those documents and those filings and for public companies and things like that. So.
Oh, that does not sound very fun.
All days of the week.
It was hard. It was hard and long.
Yeah. Pottery sounds way more fun.
It is.
Well, Steve brings the systems.
Tempers it.
Yeah, like, here's how we do it. Okay, how are we going to price it? Does it make sense? Let's actually look at the numbers, Erin, like that kind of stuff in the business where I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these cute pieces. Okay, we should have a collection that's with this theme. Like, look at this stuff over here. Anyway, so.
Relatable. That's mean. Like, let's just order all the dragons. Why not? Like,
people want options.
Yeah, right. I'm with you. So you ever need backup, I'm your girl.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there's something too with just, I don't know. I mean, husband, wife is one thing, but just, I don't know, man, woman, right? I mean, I'm like, I just feel like we need it. He's like, I need like a spreadsheet.
Right. It's like, get over it.
Erin has ideas all day long, every day, wants to do everything, buy every studio. I mean, so there's a lot, that's just on the work side. We have 4 kids and all that stuff, but, and so I'm like, and I think I help kind of narrow our focus and kind of pick what I think are the best steps to take. So I think we're a great compliment. We're a good team.
Y'all are a dynamic duo for sure. And we all need somebody to keep us grounded too.
Right. So. For sure.
Tell us about these 2 new studios that you built from scratch.
Yeah. Last year we opened our second location in San Antonio called Clay Casa. And then, towards the end of last year, we opened a second one in Orlando called All Fired Up. And those are really exciting. We'd never opened one outside of like a hotel on our own that we didn't buy. And so we'd never done that before. So it was really cool to go through that process. And I think the best part was, you get like a blank space, and Erin hired a designer, and you're able to put what you want exactly the right places. And we got some great shelving and millwork and pretty stuff that Erin picked out.
So pretty.
And I don't know, it's just super fun. And, we have such a great team now too, that we were able to hire and train quickly. And I mean, honestly, the stores just kind of start off just with a bang and haven't looked back, and they're doing really, really, really well.
Right. Well, what you didn't mention, so the stores we opened are in cities where we already have stores. So we bought Sandy Kirkwood's store, Clay Casa, in 2020, right before COVID.
And today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Sandy.
Oh, happy birthday, Sandy.
Happy birthday.
So we had her store, our store there. And then looking, like Steve said, I want to buy every studio. So I'm like, let's go to Boise. Let's, there's one for sale here. There's one here. There's, all these places. And he's like, what if we just grew where we already are? Like, we're already flying to San Antonio, and let's just go. And that makes sense. So we did it.
Don't you hate it? Don't you hate it when it makes sense?
So we already had the Clay Casa there, opened the second location. And it's cool too to be able to, it's always fun. The stores we've purchased, it's been so cool to be able to continue what was started. And the stores we've purchased, they've all actually been open over 20 years. So, it's really neat to continue something that's been there for so long in the community. But then now to have this opportunity to grow within the community, right? And it was cool. It's cool to hear people like, oh, I'm so glad you're over on this side of town now. We would drive, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And, and that was cool that they would drive that far, right, to come paint. But then, yeah, it's neat to be able to be in a new market and have new customers too, right? Who didn't maybe know about us on the other side of town. And now they're like, oh, I just drove by, or I was just over here at, Sephora or whatever and stopped in. Yeah. So.
What was the process of like scouting locations? Like how did you land on where you grew? That seems to be, I would imagine that's very difficult and time consuming.
Especially when you're already in a city. So how do you know where the line is?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly enjoy it. And so we'll look at certain, like, what stores do we want to be around?
Like in the same shopping center.
Yeah, in the same shopping center. So like, and how many people are in that area, and how visible is it? And I mean, it's tricky because it's a critical point, right? Like picking the right location.
Yeah.
And so
especially when you sign like a 10-year lease.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we'll drive around and we'll go on different days. We won't just go on like a Tuesday afternoon when it's dead, but it's like, how busy is it on a Saturday? Which is, the busiest day of the week for us. And I imagine most studios. And it takes a while. We'll map it out. We'll, do all kinds of things like that. But what do you think? I mean, I think it's, it takes a while, and there's some of it's feel, and some of it too is like maybe just some metrics, things like that. But yeah.
What are some things that you're like, absolutely not? Like you come to a spot and you're like, absolutely, this is not a place for us. We're going somewhere else.
Oh, like,
vape and smoke shops.
Yeah, vape and smoke shops.
Okay.
Tattoos, some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, which there's a lot of those now. Like we're driving around San Antonio. There's a ton of them. And
you can't always control what's going to come in after you. But if I can choose between this strip and this strip, I'm going to pick the one without that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's such a good point. Once upon a time here, there was a pottery shop right next door to an adult store. And that pottery shop did not make it. So I think that's probably a big reason why, when you think about dragging your kids before that storefront, to get in, get inside.
I mean,
so you got to think about what's around you.
Yeah. I mean, we want our we call them guests that come into our store. We want them to feel like really comfortable coming in and bringing their young children. And so we just kind of look for kind of like, I don't know, maybe more family environments or just, safe environments,
right?
Things like that. Like we're not going to go anywhere that's like, has a ton of crime, I guess, or no security. Like, that's a problem too. And we've seen some of that stuff. If there was a center that was like dying and it was like half empty, like I'm not going to go in there either. That's a good question. I've never thought about that. Any like just deal breakers, but
there's also, parking can be an issue too.
Yeah.
So our Winter Park store, all fired up, the store we purchased, well, the big selling point from the owner was like, we have a parking lot across the street. It's like a really great, little downtown shopping area, but it's all like street parking. There's a couple public lots, but there's not a whole lot of parking. And so the fact that in our lease, the building owner also owned across the street, it's not big, but it's a lot. And there are, we can direct people to that parking spaces. That's really great. But I will say, people still find places to park. That lot fills up and people figure it out. But on the other side, the new store that we did open in Orlando is in a bigger shopping center with a huge parking lot. And, when you think of like people having birthday parties, maybe one-off people coming in, it's fine. But, I think of like, am I gonna have my birthday party at that place and then make all my party guests have to find parking? And, so parking could be something too.
Yeah. And I'll give like maybe 2 tips on that too. Is the first one in our Orlando store, the parking lot's across the street. I put it in the lease that we were going to be able to park there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's something, it was not in the lease. And so, I mean, the landlord could sell that property at some point, then we would have zero parking.
Right.
So that's thing one. And there are some jurisdictions, it's probably not a big deal, but we did run across it recently, is the center has to have enough parking spots, or sometimes you wouldn't be able to get a certificate of occupancy. So that's just something to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, and just to check, you know, so before you sign the lease.
Right. And build out a studio for 80 people. And then there's
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Do you have
Go ahead.
do you have any locations that have paid parking?
Yes, it's annoying.
Yeah, how is that?
Yeah, so in Houston at our River Oaks location, they just started it last year, and it's, you know, I don't know, was it like $2 for 2 hours? And I don't know.
The first 30 minutes
you
is
know,
free, but you still have to scan the QR code and enter all your
Mhm.
information. So if someone coming just for a pickup,
It's
you
a
know,
nightmare.
a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Our sales are still up. We were up last year and we're up again this year, like by a decent amount. So I guess people are still coming, but
Yeah.
it's annoying, especially, you know, people come back and pick it up. They don't want to sign in for 5 minutes to come pick out pottery. But it is like the premier shopping center in that area, and
Mhm.
I think,
And it's common in the area.
yeah, and I think
mean,
people
Right.
it's
I think
center,
people
so.
expect that, but I find it highly annoying.
Same. I
Well-
feel like Atlanta is all paid parking now, and it's such a nightmare. And, you know, and you're right. It has not affected really where I go, but it affects my grumbling walking into a place for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, we've given our team the okay also that if there are complaints, I mean, they can always discount someone's,
Sure.
you know, ticket by the amount just to offset it, even though it's still a pain. But
Yeah. We've even tried to get maybe some parking spots that are just specific to our store in our leases. And I mean, I don't know, out of our 9, we have 1 that has like 4 parking spots. So you could always try that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one lesson I learned the hard way. We started with free parking, and then our landlord, after COVID, swapped it to paid parking. And it was not written in my lease that I was going to continue to have parking if he changed it to paid. So it's not been a good time. Definitely something to think about whenever you are looking for locations and writing your lease. Like, if it ever does become paid, can you write a stipulation in there that you'll have either a discount structure or be able to waive the fee or whatnot? Those things look different depending on where you are and who manages the property and the parking and whatnot, but definitely something to think about for our listeners.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about studios, and, you know, what I would like to do in this conversation is, you know, think big, you know, and then kind of go into really specifics for what you look at when you're looking at a studio space or scouting somewhere new. So when it comes to size and shape, layout and flow, vibe and all that stuff, what are you looking for? You know, what checks the boxes for the Raciopis?
You want me to go?
If you'd like to, I can.
Ladies first.
Yes. That's a good rule.
Well, we found, sorry. All right. So we found the last 2 that we opened are very similar, and we're really happy with them. And they are a typical, you know, rectangle, longer than wider, but wide enough. So we had looked at some spaces that were, once I did a layout, like you couldn't get more than, you know, almost 2 tables across. It was too narrow. So, you know, it definitely has to have enough width. Love natural light, as many windows. I mean, we're on a corner in Winter Park and it's beautiful. Love the light. So that's always good too. But yeah, I mean, the general layout, I mean, is there anything else that?
Well, I mean, like size, I mean, I think we've kind of settled on around like 2,200 square feet. It depends, you know, where you are. I mean, we have some very successful studios at like 1,500. And so, and some wildly successful ones at 2,200. So I don't, you know, so we're looking around there, maybe plus or minus 200 square feet. I will say, you can sell a lot of pottery in 2,200 square feet. So, you know, I hear sometimes people have like 6,000. I don't know. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I just don't think you need that much. But so, yeah, we want to have at least that because, you know, it's about seating. And if we can get 70, 80 people in a studio, because we max out on Saturdays, and a lot of our stores are on wait list all day Saturday, and even sometimes on Sundays. You have to be able to capture your customers when they come. I mean, because they're,
Mhm.
they're not going to come on a Tuesday. Maybe a lot of people are working, kids are in school. And so we're looking for that size.
Mhm.
So
You said how many seats?
yeah, like 70, 80, something like,
Right.
So,
and I was going to say too, I mean, as far as when thinking of the setup too, I mean, our pottery display area is only, I just did the math, like 18 feet wide. There's along the wall, and then like a freestanding table in front of that too. And so it's not that much space that we're using for the pottery. We restock, we pull it forward. I mean, there's a lot of pottery that it's deep. It's like 30 inches deep. So there's a lot of pottery in there, but we keep that more minimal, I think, than a lot of studios in order to have more seating,
Oh yeah, it annoys Erin. We're working on a seating
secret.
layout now for a store, and I'm always like just trying to maximize the seating. Like she's like, "What about the team member area?" And I'm like, but it's like, yeah, I mean, so we keep the pottery display area tight, and I'm just, how many seats can I fit in? She's drawn into something yesterday. I'm like, can we push the desk back a little bit to get one more table? And and that's another thing when you're looking at like a space. A lot of times if you want over 50 people, you need 2 exits. Right. And 2 bathrooms. It just depends where you live, but those are things to consider, and that's really important to me. And Erin doesn't like it.
He's like, first just start with all the seats, and then you can take out whatever you have to for the pottery and the paint bar.
Because like we're in some like really great centers, and it's super expensive. We have some wildly high rents, and I mean, you got to maximize it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you account for guests with disabilities? This is something, my mother-in-law is in a wheelchair, and it's kind of a newer thing, and it's something that has changed how we attend places, So what do you look for in terms of that? Is it ramps? Is it, space between tables and pottery shelves? Like how do you even go about that?
I'll say it. So I'm usually the one doing the layouts of the tables. And even in the existing stores that we bought, we shifted things around to maximize the space. But for us, it's, yes, of course, there's, coming in and having the pottery display, there's plenty of room around there. And it works out. Like, yes, we want, people in wheelchairs or moms with strollers or just lots of people to be able to stand in that area. So there's a little more, space in there for guests and moving around. And then there's always a wider path from like the door to the desk, which our desk is typically towards the back of the studio. And so there's always one path between the tables that's wider. And then there may be some other tables over here that are a little bit closer, but they don't have to necessarily go between every table, right? So there's always a path. And then in front of the paint bar and in front of the desk, there's always, a lot more room. Like we leave like 5 feet at least in front to give, again, room for, wheelchairs or strollers or just more people. And then bathrooms too. I mean, that's kind of just part of code, but always having a bathroom, at least one. I don't remember if they made us make both.
Yeah, it just depends. It depends what city it is.
But at least one, that's large enough and ADA compliant.
But yeah, I mean, when we're opening a new store and you go through your architect drawing phase, like there's several pages devoted to all that stuff with enough clearance. We had one store, so we haven't had any issues with that. I mean, our centers are pretty big, but we had one store that our manager said, hey, we don't have a ramp or like it's like a raised.
Yeah, just the sidewalk up from the parking lot. There's a step.
And I was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And sure enough, she was right. And so we just I think it was on Amazon. We just bought we just bought a ramp, and we just we'll grab it out when we need to.
Right. Right. Cool. Yeah, but most centers do, even if it's not right in front of your store.
There's access.
A little ways, but
yeah.
Right. And of course, we're always super accommodating. Like Steve says, like if it's a really busy Saturday, I mean, we're gonna make it work that someone who maybe can't move around the studio as freely will be where they need to be, closer to the paint bar. There's easy access around. So yeah, just of course, be accommodating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So storage. I feel like this isn't what, what everybody wants to hear. How much storage are you looking for?
Well,
Not a
we'll go
lot.
back to what Steve was saying, and that does not leave much room for storage.
Right.
So, but I also have gotten much better at the studios, maybe not so much at home, but at the studios of like only what we need. We don't need this. Okay, that receipt printer is a dud. Just throw it out.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it, right? We also don't do summer camp anymore, or some of those things where there was always just piles and bags of crafts and other stuff. So that's good. The things that we do store are, of course, we have like cleaning supplies. We do snacks and drinks. So there's backstock of snacks and drinks. We have like event or party supplies, like decorations and, platters and some of those things. Try to have a little area for the team members to put their stuff, of course. When possible, we try to have like a little table in the back too, because you know how it goes. You go sit out in the front, and you're trying to just paint after your shift, and you get asked.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's really nice. I feel like a lot of people don't consider that.
Yeah, I mean, we've carved out space too. We have like a refrigerator and a microwave for the team, and on a Keurig machine. I don't think anyone uses it, the Keurig machine and stuff. But yeah, things like that. I mean, and we're lean. I mean, we only sell pottery, and so we only have to store pottery. And Erin did a good job. She designed some shelves, which are quite deep and can hold a lot of pottery and have some built-in drawers and things like that.
The bottoms are drawers. Yep, the bottoms are drawers, and then the top is the cabinet too.
Yeah,
for
and then we just
backstock.
Yeah, and then we just order frequently. We order I think every Monday, like once a week. The stores place an order, so it's like because there's not much room,
right? And I don't want boxes sitting all over the place. I mean, there's times, but like before a spring break, for example, we'll be like, order one now, and then in a couple days, just anticipate and order another one to come in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Are you keeping stores? We'll have to get rid of customers' pottery if they don't pick it up after 2 months.
I hate that. I want to keep it as long as we can.
But 2 or 3 months is kind of like in our busiest stores, and we're just totally out of room.
Right.
Yeah.
We have our paint bar too is designed to store all the backstock of paint.
Oh, nice.
Supplies. There's drawers. So yeah, I try to just keep it. And it's part of it is like, maximizing storage, but part of it is because we're not in the studio. I'm not in the studio every day. So I can't be like, oh, let me get more brushes and more sponges. Like, they're over here in the back in this, cabinet. I try to keep it as easy as possible for the team. Everything you need is just right here, and there should be no excuses on,
That's smart.
So.
Do you keep your pottery backstock up top, like in the shelves that you mentioned with the cabinets? Is that where most of it lives?
So we'll do, the drawers have backstock, and that the stuff in the drawers is already priced and ready to go out of the box. And so we'll try to keep it, whatever's in this shelf that's below. And then above is more, like the items that we do have to order like 6 or 8 cases of, to get, because we sell a lot of those. So those will be just the boxes up there. So yeah,
nice.
Just a little
very smart. I like that.
Although I was in there the other day and I'm like opening a drawer and I'm like, cool, nativity votives. Great.
Yeah.
Right now, guys.
Yeah, that's tough. As like a control freak, I really admire that you guys can, make the systems and you trust your staff to, run it and it be okay if there is a nativity votive where it's not supposed to be once or twice.
What's hilarious is then a customer came in and asked if we had a nativity scene. I am not even joking. This was on Monday when I was at the studio for the CCSA photo shoot, and I just happened to have seen it in the drawer, and I was like, as a matter of fact, yeah, I do.
Sure do.
Yeah, I don't know if this will come through well, but like Erin did a really good job shelves, and so on the bottom and top of the drawers, and they're like really deep. And,
they are.
So we just have a lot of stuff up there.
That's beautiful.
You can see there's 2 there, but there's 5. There's like 5 openings, so we can get everything there.
I like the molding detail on that. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
You got to spend money to make money, Steve. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that.
When I first heard how much it was going to cost, I was like, "There's no way!" Like I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
I tried to get a new counter built and they were like $10,000. And I was like, never mind, I'll just stain this one. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
No big deal.
Crazy.
The trim is
They make
pretty,
it
but
work.
it's every layer is another layer to dust. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
you go
yeah, I
through lots
bet.
of Swippers.
Hi, podcasters. This is Lisa with Bisque Imports. Have you heard? We partnered with 4-H, America's largest youth organization with over 6 million members whose demographics perfectly mirror the paint your own pottery industry's target customer. 87% of their membership are aged 5 to 13, and, contrary to popular belief, less than half of that membership is in farm or rural areas. Visit our 4-H page at bisqueimports.com to learn more about how you can partner with 4-H, what 4-H will be doing to send members right to your door, and stock up on 4-H licensed designs. Enjoy!
Are you spending hours managing studio bookings and class registrations? Occasion helps ceramic studios save an average of 3 days a week in admin time. With clever workflows, instant confirmations, and seamless class management, you can focus on what matters, creating amazing experiences for your customers. Join successful studios like Clay Cafe Avalon, who've trusted Occasion since 2016. Visit occasion.app and schedule a demo today. Mention Glazed Over Podcast for personalized setup support.
So in your like the staff area, the back room, is it the back room, the glazing room, break room, like is that all in one, or do you try to
Yeah.
keep them separate? Yeah, talk to me a little bit about
It depends,
what's
yeah.
back there.
Yeah, I mean, so we call it the kiln room, and that'll have the kilns, the glazing, the dremeling station, the pickup. Our items that are ready for pickup, we'll put there. You know, some other things for storage, and then I think typically then we'll have a separate like utility room, where we have like the internet and all that stuff, and maybe a sink. Sometimes the sink's not in the kiln room.
Yeah, no, this is something that's not consistent for sure. Thinking of all the different studios.
Yeah,
but-
because we work with what we have. Like when you open, sometimes there's already like a mop sink over there and bathrooms are over there, but or
it works better to have the
yeah,
kilns over here. Yeah.
or the
Right.
middle,
Oh my gosh.
and you don't want to go through all the hassle of
Sounds
moving
awkward.
them and the extra permitting stuff that
Mhm.
takes. So, but yeah, we'll have like typically like a utility area too, with like Erin said, just some of the cleaning supplies and we sell like drinks and snacks too, so we'll have like drinks and snacks and some of that stuff in the back.
Do you ever find
Erin will
any
literally just draw out what she wants, and then they'll come in with wood and just build it, and she'll try, so we have to just work with the space.
Yeah. Wow. Do you hire a designer for every studio or just these new two ones?
So we hired a designer. I found these ladies for when we renovated the Winter Park store, the all fired up store. We bought it. It was 22 years or so in business, and it looked like it. It was a little tired. So it was time, and it was a great opportunity, for me, because at that point, the stores and the resorts, they were basically like, here's a room, go ahead. And I'm not, doing anything fancy in there. We bought the Mad Potter stores, which were good. And then Clay Casa.
But they had a different look. And
Clay
Casa has a different look.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, Erin took the opportunity. And so now I feel like we have this is what our brand looks like. And so we're going to do just pretty much the exact same thing at every store, the same look and feel.
The overall look. So like I do it in Canva, and I have, a desk and the paint bar and the pottery shelves and the display like as a template. And then I'll map out the space in the same scale. And then basically, the tables, and it's basically like, like a puzzle, like how do I fit this stuff in here? And there was one, like the Winter Park store where the pottery is actually in a corner. So it's like, over a corner, but then the next door, it was just straight along the wall. So one of them has a L-shaped desk, but the other one, we just straightened it out. So we just kind of try to work with all the same stuff, and the elements of like, okay, we need a photo wall, like a nice wall, to take photos in front of. So it's like, where's that going to go? The kilns, right? You got the little puzzle pieces. I have a certain amount of storage space that I've measured that this should be, sufficient for like pottery pickup and then for storage. And so, it's like a little puzzle.
I love that you do it in Canva. I think it's stuff like this can be really hard, but you can learn how to not make it quite so hard. So that's fun.
Oh, yeah. Right. I do my thing, and then we send it to the architect. And
right. You're like, fix this. Yeah. What about, in these studio spaces, are you looking for party rooms, or do you have it out in the open? What's your take on a party room?
That's good. Well, so they're different because
I
we
want to
have
hear
different
from
people.
Steve. Steve, you're allowed to
Oh,
talk about
yeah,
this.
no,
Talk about
we do not do party rooms at all. And part of it is maximizing the space. And so if you throw up a wall somewhere, you're going to take out some of the space. And so, yeah, I mean, so no, everything's pretty open, and we have just party areas. And it's nice that, I guess if we have parties and, people can see, hey, we do parties and things like that. And so, no, we build it in. And when Erin's doing the drawings, like she'll make like these colorful, like slat walls that look really nice. And so we'll kind of position the party areas over there. And so that's really, and there's a lot of good places to take photos and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think we're even finding that on busy Saturdays, it's sometimes the partying is starting to get in the way, which is, I never thought that would be the case, but we've actually even had to cut some of our party times on Saturdays. So anyway, no on party spaces. Party rooms.
Right.
Erin, you like a party space?
Oh no, I mean, I agree, because at the store in Winter Park, they did have a party room when we bought it, and it was this like pretty small rectangular room, which you could hardly even fit, parents in there besides just the kids. So it was small. But then what the worst part is where it was situated in the space was like right in the center. And so there was this long hallway that would lead to the bathrooms. And so I remember when we, the first like year or so of having it, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, if this wall wasn't here, like I could just have a couple, like, we'd be on a wait list, right? And I'm like, oh, like I want people to sit in the hallway, but it's like, you can't do that.
Right.
That's the space sitting there. So no, I agree. I think it's, I do like the way we do it, but you have customers who want their private space. And I think when we just say, you're in your, like I said, planning it out, I am thinking of that, like where can we have a party and have the least disruptions from just walk-in guests, there's a studio where you do have to walk, not through the party, they're over to the side, but people who are going to the bathroom are going past the party every time. And, that just happened to be the best spot for that studio. But considering that kind of stuff helps.
I'm a little traumatized from working in a studio that had a party room because it would just be so loud. Like that small rectangular room, those kids could really scream in there, and it's just not very fun. So
yeah, I think it's, I mean, it's a question of like how much rent do you want to pay? Like, and if you're in a low rent area and you get a little more space, or there's already a party room kind of there, like, fine, it's great, but we're just trying to stay as lean as we can. And
Right.
So you mentioned earlier pottery that's ready to be picked up is in the back. Does it stay in the back, or does it move to the front?
No, it stays in the kiln room.
Nice. Do you bag and tag, or how do people?
No, we've actually recently totally overhauled this. I think we just basically copied what Lori and Scott do at As You Wish. And because we used to take it out and then group everything by receipt.
By ticket.
And so now it's just so much faster. We just take it out and put all the mugs in one spot and all the banks in one spot, and keep everything together. It's really fast, right? It saves a lot of time.
Right. Well, and it evolved too with our point of sale. So we used to print the receipt and handwrite the descriptions on the receipt, and then you had a stack of receipts. And so it was helpful to group them together. We would put them alphabetical, and and that was also with the guests, when they come, we have it ready to go. But then now with our point of sale, we're actually, now we even changed it. So at one point then we were putting the descriptions on the order in the point of sale, so then you would only print the receipt when they came. But now we've even evolved. Steve,
this is the biggest breakthrough in our company.
Okay, here we go.
I'm excited.
This is like, you sure you want to tell
other people do it. It's not like
$500 directly to Steve and Erin.
Our team is thrilled about this, and I've tested it in the store. It's amazing. We don't write descriptions anymore, and so when someone turns in their pottery, they pay. It prints out a receipt automatically. We put the receipt down on the table
with their name and phone number,
with the pieces right next to it, and we take a photo. Just in the store, we just have iPhones and iPads in our stores, and we take a photo with the receipt and the pieces, and that's it.
Throw away the receipt.
And when they come pick it up, you just type in the last name, and
search it in photos.
It searches
exactly.
up, and then you can see it, and you have to read this description.
Oh my
So
gosh, some of our girls were writing like you would see like a novella, like
Oh, I bet.
about this princess bank, and like, oh my gosh, all
And
the freckles and her like, oh,
right. And then
so
you have the customers who aren't used to painting pottery. I remember they'd come pick it up and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is yours." And they're like, "No, it's not." And it's like, "No, I was here when you painted it. I
mhm.
promise." And they're like, "No, it was, it was pink and it's red or
Right,
whatever."
it's
But
red, yeah.
yeah, that's really smart to
Mhm,
cut out the paper receipt and just have this like, "Oh yeah, no, look, it's right here. I
mhm,
told you."
mhm.
yeah,
Right,
it is
but it's
amazing.
helped.
It's a
It's
game changer.
well, and I think the big thing is too, there'd be like a line of pottery waiting to be described, like
Sure.
go through past that so that then they could go in the back
The
room.
time savings.
And
I
yeah,
mean,
so
no,
it's yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
so I'm asking as a person that has, 50,000 photos on her camera roll right now.
Mhm.
Have you thought about when you're deleting that photo? Like, does
Oh,
staff
when
at
delete on
they
pickup?
pick it up, we delete it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nice.
Right. And if somebody
That's
like,
awesome.
if you two come paint together, but Amy, you're just coming to get your piece, we'll edit it and mark out your piece
Oh,
to
right on the
show
screen. It's
this has been
incredible.
picked
Yeah.
up.
It is. It's the biggest breakthrough we've had in like
Right.
a while.
Right. And I know other people have done it, the photos, and I think we just never, it just never clicked until,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that everything is searchable, like on iPhones and iPads,
right.
so
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
And they're all synced up under the same iCloud account. So,
Mhm.
you can just, quick grab the phone and take a picture, and then it'll show up
Yeah.
on the iPads.
I mean, because I think about that too. It's like, how do I make my team happier?
Mhm.
How do I make their job easier? And then, and they'll be happier. And so I think this was a huge thing for us. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know, 5 minutes per transaction probably
Mhm.
or something. It's a lot of time.
Mhm.
So,
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The time and labor cost, you're speaking my language. So
Right, right, right. Well, and it's like we even moved to this system of just putting the pottery on the shelves grouped together, um, as opposed to matching it with the tickets, because that was the thing. As I saw our team, it was taking so much time to, they would unload and get the pottery ready, and then it was taking so much more time just, matching it up and doing that part of it. And I'm like, a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't even come back for this pottery.
Right,
So like we're
right.
spending all this time now that is wasted. Whereas, yeah, it does take more time now when for the guests, like when they come and they're standing there at the desk, it takes a few minutes. And sometimes if you have, a sea of black and white penguins and you're trying to find the one with a pink, heart on its
Mhm.
butt, like it takes a minute. And but I think our guests they're starting to learn, right, that's
Sure.
the process. And occasionally someone will call ahead, hey, I'm on my way, this is my name, I only have, can you try to pull my pieces out ahead of time? And
Yeah.
of course we'll be accommodating with that. But overall, yeah, with the team, the time savings is
I bet. Do you wrap pottery pickup at your desk, or do you?
yes.
Yeah. So it's all
Mhm.
they come pick up, grab it, wrap it,
Yeah,
send it
generally
out.
we'll bring them out and we're like, hey, check them out. What do you think?
Mhm.
Chatting, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
then
Do you
we'll
want
just
to take a
wrap them up
photo?
in tissue, put them in a bag. And
Yeah. Is that tissue station very large? I remember that being kind of an issue in the studio is how much space the wrap
Mhm.
station takes up. So what does that look
Right.
like?
It's just, I mean, on the desktop, when it's busier, on the busier times, so behind the desk, there's shelves and there's a shelf
Mhm.
for tissue and then the
Mhm.
bags. And so on the busier times, they'll take a stack of the tissue and just have it sitting on top of the desk.
Sure.
But when it's not, and like, during the week, it's
Mhm.
in on the shelf, and it's nice and
yeah, I mean, this
clean.
is like our desk at
Oh,
Clay Casa, and it's
it's
just
beautiful.
so
amazing. Yeah.
it's all contained within that. So underneath,
Mhm.
like where
Awesome.
she is, there's tissue paper. She'll bring some up to the
Mhm.
top, and so it's
Mhm.
all. Aaron drew out like little slots
Oh, yeah.
underneath,
It
and
was like
all the
measuring. I mean,
tissue
I'm
paper
measuring
goes. Yeah.
when we were first getting this all set up, like measuring the bags. And
Yeah.
actually at our Winter Park store, the shelf was like an inch too short. So the tissue paper just barely hangs off. And if there's too much
Mhm.
in there, it slides out. So
Yep.
future stores now, I'm like, it needs to be that 1 inch bigger. You learn as you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
And the tabletop is so clean. And just a reminder that you can watch this episode. I think you can watch it on YouTube or Spotify. So if you want to see these visuals,
Oh yeah.
definitely log in and watch it. But the
We can
tabletop
send you some
is
too to put like if you do like an Instagram post or something.
yes, please. Yeah, send those to me.
Mhm.
It's so clean. There's no monitor. There's no anything like that. And that's because of the iPads, right? You guys are an iPad store. They walk around and check people
Yep.
out that way.
Yes.
Yep,
Yep.
yep,
It
at
looks really
the table
good.
preferably. It's awesome.
Yeah, looks very nice. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to come paint. That's kind of the big
Anytime,
takeaway
Amy.
here.
Anytime. We'd love to have you.
So you're a pottery only place, but let's say that I'm a studio that's looking for a new space that would allow me to have like clay, you know? Can you speak to what we should look for if we do want to do clay in the studio? You know, is it extra sinks? Is it, storage space? What would you say?
That I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
I think if you did a
Mhm.
podcast already, maybe with somebody about clay, circle
Yeah.
back to that one. So that one, I don't know. All I've heard is it's really messy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you'd want to carve out like a certain amount of square footage. I mean, if I were doing it, if I wanted 6 seats, I would get how big each thing is, and I'd
They're called wheels.
wheels.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we don't do clay.
it takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Jess, do you do clay?
Yes, but not always, not on a walk-in basis with the customers. It doesn't have a designated spot in my studio. It has a spot in our second location that does production only. And we bring it to the studio, but it is a footprint on a cart. I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm gonna roll this cart in and this is what you got. Here you go.
Yeah.
You do have to look for the plumbing is a big issue with it. You either need to have a system or invest in the clay sink that prevents the clay from going down your pipes because it will gunk up your pipes in the same way that our underglazes and glazes will gunk up your pipes if you're not careful with that as well. It'll just happen a lot quicker. So I think if there's one thing, that's the thing. It's going to be the plumbing is going to be the huge issue there. And some locations, they're not even going to want you in because they know that, or the pipes are going to just be too narrow from it being an older building for them to even want to pull you there. So I know that from looking for clay locations, and I learned a lot about the issues that come along with that, and also you just need a lot of power. Like we think we need a lot of power with the just running kilns and lights and stuff, but I mean if you've got 6 wheels in there, and a bunch of other stuff, like you're gonna need a lot of power that is easy to drop down from the ceiling so that you're not tripping over things. People aren't putting their wheelchairs over things or strollers and whatnot. But I mean, I think the power in general is something that has to be considered. I know we need the specific outlets for our kilns in the back. My customers talk a lot about like they're always looking for an outlet to charge their phone. That's something I've had to start considering is how do we give that to the customers if that's what they need. Do you guys get that? Do y'all have like a charging station for customers or anything?
No,
We don't specifically, we again work with what we have. If we don't have any at our store, that the one that's on the corner, there are not outlets like available for guests. So we'll just, a lot of times people just ask us, do you have a charger? Can I stick this on your desk for a little bit? And we're happy to accommodate. But I mean, yeah, in the new stores, I mean, I'm not going out of my way, but I will be like, are there a couple outlets? Okay. So,
Smart.
Yeah, something accessible.
What display areas do you guys have in your studios? Do you do the window display or do you do like a speed bump or anything?
So yeah, it's just like I said, like along the wall are those built-in shelves, and then there's a long rectangular table that is not you're not exactly running into it like a speed bump, but it is, right there when you first walk in, and there's it's like another layer then on top, and a picture
Yeah,
here,
it's kind of like looks like that.
Oh, nice. Okay, I see.
Oh, cute.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cute. And is this just like a seasonal change out?
Oh yeah. Yep. That
It's
front
so cute.
that table right now is like berry sweets. We have like strawberry type, pieces and things in there right now. But that's the main, featured display when you walk in. And it's, but yeah, it's right when you walk in. So we have our pottery just all right there. Try to keep it just in one space. And then, save the rest of the space with the tables.
Yeah. Anything in a front window?
No.
Well, just those arches, right?
Well, we have we put
Just
vinyl
architecture.
we put vinyl on the windows to give a little detail, but
most of our places will not allow us to put stuff on our front windows. It'll be or just be very minimal. We're not we can't even put up one of those neon signs.
Open signs, some of the shopping centers.
Some of our places.
Yeah, they don't like
Wow.
Yep. But we do a couple of the stores there are tables in front of the windows. Like the new ones we don't, but that's some of them we do. And so, but yeah, we just have like a regular table, kitchen table, height table, and then we have other tables on top. So definitely to add some height, and when we can hang stuff from the ceiling then to kind of fill in that vertical space. But yeah, we do kind of a variety, but
Yeah.
the newer stores kind of going forward, the plan is not so much. It's hard. Our pottery, it's not very big, and so it doesn't make a very big impact. I know Lulu paints tons of huge platters just to fill
Yeah.
a display in the window, and
Right.
that's, I mean, you have to do that to make an impact. And so we've just tried to not not have to do that.
Yeah, but there's something to be said too about people walking by and seeing your store full of
Oh, for
people
sure.
having a great time, So I'm in that boat as well. I don't have anything in my front windows, and my whole front wall, one of my walls is nothing but a giant window. But
Okay.
we do have, some bar stools there. But I think I like taking that picture a lot from the
Mhm.
outside looking in and seeing
That's right.
everyone, doing
Mhm.
their things. So
Right.
I think that's more helpful than a pottery display for pulling people in my opinion.
Right. So yeah, like the two new stores, you walk in the door and on the left is the pottery display, and then on the right are tables. And we do, like you're saying, in the window, we do have like a skinnier, almost like a bar. It's regular height,
Mhm.
but a table right there in the window. So yeah, it's not the first table to get used, but it is pretty
Right.
cool when people can walk by and see people painting in the window. So
It's super cute. So,
Mhm.
it's a perfect little like date night clip picture to take,
Oh yeah.
and whatnot, or mom and kid. Like I get that picture so often. It's the best
Mhm.
one. Um,
And with the natural light, it's awesome.
yes, the natural light, that does it.
Mhm.
When you are studio hunting, or not necessarily hunting, but when you are in negotiation,
That's what I'm imagining too. Yeah.
you're right.
I'm driving
Like a
around.
paint palette and a brush. Like
Do you run
we're
into a lot of
hunting for
issues?
studios.
Do you run into issues with the landlord being like, kilns, no, how do you navigate that? Is there like a pitch you have to be like, actually, it's not that big of a deal, calm down?
We have not. I mean, in my
Mm.
experience, our landlords haven't cared at all. So,
Nice.
I mean, the only thing that's, I don't know if it's been tricky or not, is just finding an exhaust way out the building.
Mhm.
We have some spaces where we don't have an exterior back wall, so we have to go through the roof. But they don't. I don't know. They didn't care. We just had to use their roofing contractor.
Sure.
It's more expensive
Mhm.
to do all that stuff, but we haven't had any concerns. I think maybe the only concern is like when you're going through permitting, like they'll look at that, and we do change out our sprinkler heads. We make them higher temperature rated sprinkler heads, so we don't accidentally set one off or something like that.
Mhm.
I've never
Yeah,
heard of anyone doing that, but we do it anyway.
that's
But
smart.
no.
Mhm. Right, but I think it's, if you had to and mention, most schools have a kiln, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
there's that.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted us to have a hood, like a kitchen hood
Mhm.
to draw the heat out, but we explained, well, there's actually this venting system that's made for the kilns. So that was sufficient. So,
But
people
that
just,
was like a permitting thing. That wasn't like a landlord thing.
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where people just, just may not know. And so you had to
Yeah.
educate them, and,
And Scott, they'll
Mhm.
just
Oh,
send
yeah.
us the specifications and things like that, and they read it, and it hasn't been a problem.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring in the resource that is Scott, because obviously
Mhm.
they have what you need. How many kilns do y'all start with? Or do you keep it just a standard number at every studio?
We so what we do is we open with 2 kilns with a spot for a third kiln,
Mhm.
and we don't have, even our top store have just 3 kilns, and it's amazing how much pottery you can sell with just 3 kilns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1227s.
1227s. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
So.
Nice.
Mhm.
That's something to think about too, I think, when you're um getting in a new space or and thinking about growth. I'm not sure that we're all thinking about like, well, where will we be in 5 years? Well, where will we be in 10 years? So it's smart to give yourself the opportunity for something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, we found, so we did have one of the stores set up for 2, set up for 3, electrical for 3. And we had the 2 kilns delivered first. And then it was, just really a few months later that they're like, okay, I think we're ready. And it was great to be able to call Lisa at BI and just have it down. And, we had it coordinated with the day that we could be there to receive it and install it. And it was, it was all ready to go. So that was great. It wasn't this hassle of like, oh no, okay, now we need to get the electrician back out and
Right.
figure this out and that. And when you're planning ahead, right? And you're already doing the electrical anyway, like, yes, it's going to cost more money up front, but it's going to save you like time and energy later.
Yeah, and I think if I were someone maybe just getting started out, no customers, I mean, I probably would just start with one. I mean, I think you can sell a lot of pottery with one kiln, and then if you grow to two, I would think that most of our industry probably doesn't need more than two kilns. If I could judge it. So
right, but the idea of starting with starting smaller and then
absolutely.
Right, and again, if you're all ready to go and you just need that, you're ready for that second kiln, it can be there real soon. So because we're definitely caught up now. There was a time where that wasn't the case. Everyone decided to be a ceramicist, during COVID, right? So
I know,
right.
I would say if you're looking for a space too.
They're all
like
fighting for our jobs.
Yeah, to see if it's like 3-phase power, because if you get the 3-phase kilns, it's less capacity in your control panel, and sometimes there's not a ton of space in your control panel, and so you will save a good 20 amps per kiln if you go 3-phase. So if it's available, if you have 3-phase power, so that's something to think about.
All right, that's a good tip. Hot tip.
Yeah.
Speaking of kilns.
All right. Well, I sort of have a silly question, and I would like to hear from both of you. Like, what is your favorite part of the studio? Like, is it, it can be a really small detail. It can be a system that you have implemented. It could be the phone search photo system. But I would love to know, like, what you consider to be your favorite.
Okay. There's a lot.
Oh, please. I'll take more.
But one that's really small is so we have a rainbow wall, like with vertical boards. And when we went out to the store in San Antonio, the new store, they had already painted it, but we hadn't seen it in person. And we got there and they did not sand the boards before they painted them. And I am sorry, but it was not okay. It was like, this is where people are taking photos in front of. Yep. And so we had to have them sand the boards down. And so they were taking off the rainbow on the fronts, and they had primed the boards with white. And so they had dropped a curtain because of course it was super dusty everywhere. And so I came around and I saw it where they had sanded the fronts off and it was white, but in between was still the rainbow. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing. We're going to do this. And of course the painter's like, oh, it's a huge pain in the butt.
Of course.
And I was like, this is amazing. So because I didn't want just rainbow, bright colors everywhere, I didn't want too much. And so in one space, there is a smaller space with the rainbow with the logo, but then in that party area, we do the little rainbow, which is just the in-betweens. And so that was a fun little thing that I just happened to come across, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like we have all the paint here, and this is the plan, and
full of called an audible. It was gonna change.
There you go.
But yeah, so that's a really small one. That's just a random, decorative detail. But as far as systems, I am really happy with, I don't remember if I saw this from someone else. Thank you. I don't know if we came up with it or how it all even came to be. But when we do a paint tutorial for the guests, we do it at the table, and we have a dinner plate that has everything you need to know on it. And it's here's 1 coat versus 3 coats. Here's before it's fired and after. And so we can have that right there at the table and show them all the things. And on the back, we flip it over. Not every time. If it's a 5-year-old with a race car, we don't flip it over. But if it's, some 20-somethings with vases, we're like, and then look at this. We do marbling and bubbles and all these cool techniques, right? So that's been a really great tool to, show the guests things that are available, because they may go up to the paint bar and see, sponges, but not know what that's going to do, or a toothbrush. Why are there toothbrushes on the thing, right? We use them for speckling. And we have painted samples, of course, on the shelves, but not everybody sees that stuff or really,
or can understand. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I can do that. So for me, that's something that's just, I don't know, that's been really great, because then we can have the team and the guests working together to make amazing pieces. Because I know when I'm in the studio, I'm just there, and this is what, of course we train our team to do, but it's I can't get enough of oh my gosh, what else are we going to do on this one? Oh, do you want to marble the inside of that? We need to do some baby footprints over here, right? And so if I can't be there, I think something like that, it helps the team to be able to relay that and at least spark some interest in the guests to ask more questions.
Right.
If my team isn't, bringing that information to them, but they do a great job. I mean, I think the team does love doing techniques, but for me, to me, those types of things make it. Painting pottery is an amazing experience, right? But if you can add on and elevate it into something that maybe they didn't even know about, or that they see something and they're like, okay, I'm not doing the bubbles this time, but next
time.
Like that's what I want, right? They're coming back next time.
Totally.
So, okay, Steve.
I think one of the things I like that we did, we try to make like a little local touch to each of the stores. And so like in our store in Winter Park, for example, like the peacock is like the symbol of Winter Park, and it's on street signs, it's on like
sewer caps.
And so we got, like, I can show you here, if you're watching a video.
Oh my gosh.
That's above the paint bar. So it's like all of the different colors we carry. Painted.
DI's peacock bank.
Yep. And then we,
cute.
drilled a hole in the back, right? And it's a pain to put like nails in and get it level. But so we did that in Winter Park, and then in Texas, I think we did like a Texas shape.
Yep, the Texas plates.
I don't know, just try to give like a little bit of like a local unique thing.
I really like that. It like, it's still under the brand, right? We do this across stores, but it's a nice little like Easter egg almost of yeah, very.
Are you calling me Taylor Swift?
Yes, you are Taylor Swift. You are my Taylor Swift. Yeah, I would love to see all the eras of the Raciopis, with the stores and stuff.
That'd be fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
We hope you enjoyed that podcast. Don't forget, head over to Bisque Imports to find out how you can partner with local 4-H groups to create lasting relationships within your community that not only give back to this amazing organization, but help your business grow and thrive.
Yeehaw, studio owners! Saddle up for success at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention, happening September 5th through the 8th in Denton, Texas. This year, we're bringing cowboy country theme to the heart of the fine arts, and you won't want to miss it. Get ready for an action-packed event featuring over 35 industry classes designed to boost your business, an exhibit hall filled with the latest and greatest from top suppliers, plus social events where you can connect with fellow studio owners. And don't forget the grand finale, a boot scooting gala and silent auction that'll have you dancing the night away. So dust off your cowboy boots and join us for a weekend of learning, networking, and good old Texas-sized fun. This is an exclusive event you can't afford to miss. Head to ccsaonline.com to reserve your spot at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention, and we'll see y'all in Denton.
Well, I mean, I'm a buzz. I want to go studio hunting as we speak. Is there anything else for recipes that you have?
No, I think you guys did a great job answering and telling us what we need for when new studios. So I'm always looking at. I've always loved that part of. I've built businesses, not just studios, and I think it's a real look into a blank space and reimagine and then bring it to. Then you have to work it, make money. That's the secondary part of it. But I'm with you guys. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, part 2, which is with the successful studio.
Yeah,
all the bases.
Right.
We'll slowly just every episode will be the recipes. Coming
yeah. Got some ideas.
Yes. Well, where can we find guys if we want to reach or see some what's happening in the studio? Can we find y'all online?
Well, I opened up my Instagram because it makes it easier with the studio. So, and like this week at the photo shoot, I was adding stories, but then tagging all 5 so we could share it easier. You can follow me, and it's like I'm in spurts. Like I'm like in the studio, and it's like check all this out, and then
you're doing a great job.
But all of our have their separate. They're all pretty similar, but all fired up Florida. Lake Casa _Casa _ Mad Potter. Pots, not exactly the OG resort stores. They maybe don't love, but that's all our Instagram. You can follow us anytime, if I'm Manchester, but at the madpotter.com or Steve at the madpotter.com. But
Nice.
yeah.
Well,
And
yeah.
are we going to see you mentioned this year?
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh,
I am
yes.
ready.
Oh, there I moved.
Aaron moved it.
I may not have
Ready.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Yes.
I
noticed.
here.
Yeah.
It was another auction prize.
Yeah. This one.
It still is. It was a full set. So Katie and I believe Rachel too.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of purple, which I know for sure.
Eddie.
No. Yeah. I've seen him I think I've seen him 30.
Wow.
So Aaron 20.
Jam.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
but
don't
you
see
can't.
all the down
There's
here.
a lot.
Hey, I clocked that. Don't worry.
It was like a bunch over the Aaron took. But yeah, I'm ready.
Too much.
I've got my big Texas belt buckle.
Oh my God.
The belt part, I guess.
Yeah.
We're ready.
We have 5 stores in Texas, so we're really excited to go this year in Texas. We're going to bring a lot of our team. They can just drive there. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm excited to meet everybody. And if I don't leave convention with a cowboy hat, I'm going to be so mad. So I want accountability here.
Okay.
Make sure I'm going shopping because I have the head for a cowboy hat. What can I say? Huge. Well, y'all, thank you so much. This was such a delight. And everyone back home, what am I saying? Everyone at home, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank y'all. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Jessica Cowan. Editing by Scott Lester. Executive production by Vicki DeWorth. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.